Welcome back to another episode of Hidden Gems with me, Natasha Parker, where we focus on bridging the gap between people who have found success in some area of life and people who feel stuck or stalled and need to make a change and pivot. Speaking of pivot, we have a very special guest on today, Abby Price. She has a company called Abbode with 2 B's that she created herself. And we're going to talk about believing in yourself, believing in your product, and knowing when you should pivot and when it's time to pivot. So hello, Abby.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good, and I'm glad that you're here because I think that you have a lot to share and a lot of insight. Guys, for the listeners, Nyla is in the studio today and she loves Abby. So she's giving her all this love right now. She's really excited that she's here. You need to sit. She's being a big baby. So sorry about that, guys. But, you bring your child to work day. So you have a lot to share when it comes to creating your own business and making your own lane for yourself. So tell everyone where you're from originally.
I'm from the North Shore of Boston, Massachusetts. It's kind of right by Salem, which of course everyone's familiar with, like 5 minutes away from Salem, and like Marblehead, Swampscott area is what I like to tell people.
Mm-hmm. And your family now lives?
They live there, and then my dad and stepmom also travel down south to Georgia, to Savannah area, so I'm back home between Boston and Savannah mostly.
And when did you come to New York City?
I moved here around a month after I graduated from college in 2018. I knew my whole life that I wanted to move to New York. So it was sort of just like as soon as I could get here, the better.
Wow. So wait, where'd you go to college?
I went to Ohio State.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
I knew I would be in New York forever. So I was like, I want to do the whole classic college experience, football, sororities, all of that, get out of my system, and then spend the rest of my life in New York.
Oh my gosh. So New York or nowhere?
100%.
Wow.
Yeah. Especially coming from a school in the Midwest. So many people stay in the Midwest or they're from there.
Yes.
And it was always like literally New York or nowhere. Like I didn't need to like, where am I going to be? Chicago, LA. I was like, no, New York. That's the only option.
Wow. I love that you know that. And you didn't feel like, wow, like I'm going to this big city, whatever. Is it just because you're from the East Coast? You were just like, it's happening?
I think that I just always saw a really huge life for myself. And I always saw down the line, I was going to have this creative and exciting and unique path. And I just knew New York was the city that was the only place I could do it. And then my dad's siblings both lived here. My aunt still lives here and we're very close. And she works on Broadway and is a huge inspiration to me. So I would always visit them for like Thanksgivings or holidays. And then I remember in spring break in high school or college, I would call them and be like, I'm going to come sleep on your couch for the week. And like, I'd look on Instagram or on lists and be like, ooh, this is a cool like acai bowl. And I would like go there by myself and like check out stores and do that whole thing. I always loved coming here.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it was nostalgic for you when you were just like, it's just a matter of time.
100%.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So speaking of favorites, do you have a favorite place where you get your acai bowl or smoothie? New Yorkie girl.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like when I first moved here or when I was coming here in like 2015, 2016, I feel like that was like peak acai bowl. I used to always love this place, Juice Vitality. I think that they're still open like in the East Village on like 13th or something.
Delicious.
So good.
Delicious.
So good.
I actually get their acai smoothie because I'm a smoothie girly.
Yeah.
I love acai, but the bowl, it's just like 2 hands, whatever.
It's a lot.
I'm like on the go. I need a smoothie. I'm a smoothie girl.
Yeah, totally. And this is like, I'm such a like I love like an unhealthy meal, but I always feel like when I'm hungover, an acai bowl like revives me.
That is your hidden gem
for
100%. A hangover cure?
Yes.
Wow. Someone said tomato juice for Joe on my other podcast said tomato juice for nausea. Oh. And now we're getting acai for the hangover.
An acai tomato bowl.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know about that. But try at your own will. Yeah. Okay, so you wouldn't live anywhere else. That is fascinating. Okay. Do you have a favorite restaurant in New York?
So many. I think that someplace that I love that's a mix of nostalgia and fun and makes me feel like I'm in Sex and the City is Mr. Chow. I think I've recently heard some people don't love it, but I just love it so much. I would always go with my dad introduced me to it.
Yeah.
So we would go together, and now I live downtown really close to the one in Tribeca. And every time I'm there, like I've done a birthday dinner there. After I had my opening day of my current store, we went there, and I just feel like I'm an episode of Sex and the City. Like, it just never gets old.
Yeah, and the service is really, really immaculate.
Yeah, it's expensive, but it's like, it's a special occasion, and it's like worth it. Like, it feels special, because I feel like so many restaurants don't feel special anymore, and that feels special.
It still feels like an experience.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, okay. I love asking that question for New Yorkers, because no matter who's listening, whether you live here or you're coming to visit, because it's such a destination to visit. So that's a place to go, guys. Go there. So speaking of your store, so I want to get into Shop Abode with 2 B's, extra B for Abby. What made you start this business, or why did you start this business?
So my whole life, I always knew I wanted to have my own business. So almost every person in my family, mom and dad's side, has started their own business or is an entrepreneur. So it was
amazing.
Like, it really set me up to, it almost was a when, not an if type of thing. Like, and that I think helped guide my whole like professional journey, you know, because I always knew that was the end goal and felt like it was something I could do. So I would always, you know, I had so many different ideas. Like, I wanted to do a lip gloss company and like a travel and recommendations company. And then when I was right before COVID in December 2019 to January 2020, I had transitioned from full-time to part-time at my job I was at, which was doing events at a beauty PR firm. And I was in grad school, and that job, for no reason, just let me go. And yeah, this is not even the first time that happened to me. But everything gets you to where you need to be going.
And thank you for letting me go, because now I'm flying.
Yes, exactly. And so I kind of took that, and I wanted to make dry floral arrangements. It's a very kind of like winding path of where I am right now to where we started. But I wanted to make dry floral arrangements similar to one you actually have in the room.
Oh yeah.
And it was kind of before the trend took off, and I wanted to make one, thought it was cool. So I just went, because I finally had free time. I wasn't working anymore, just in grad school. And I made one. I was like, this is so cute. And, you know, I feel like especially kind of like 2019, 2020, the pandemic, like nothing can just be a hobby. You have to like, everyone has to turn it into a side hustle or whatever, monetize it in some way.
And.
Yep. So I was like, oh, these are cool. Let me sell them. So I posted them in a Facebook group, and then a bunch of people messaged me and wanted them. And so that just kind of happened overnight, which was funny because it was all the other businesses I wanted to do. I tried, and they just didn't gain momentum.
Right.
And this one just kind of happened. And so I kept doing that, which then, long story short, turned into me sourcing vintage vases for the dry floral, which then turned into sourcing vintage in general, which then I did kind of for the whole second year I was getting my master's, which was a fashion studies at Parsons, the new school. And when I was wrapping up school, I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? I've been out of the workforce for like over a year now. It's really hard to get a job. It's like, this was May 2020. So it was just like a crazy time. So I had seen a couple other young women open boutiques, and I went to one, and I just thought to myself, if they can do it, I can do it.
Clothing boutiques or just
yeah, like mostly clothing, but with like a touch of like, you know, gifts and accessories and homewares, like to accent the clothes. And I just thought to myself, I did a couple pop-ups with the dry floral and vintage, and it went well. And I just was like, if they can do it, I can do it. And so I just got the idea in my head and just made it happen within like 2 or 3 months.
Wow. But like like an actual store.
Yeah.
For your dry vintage. I mean, for your dry florals.
Yeah. And the vintage, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what year was that?
This was 2020. So this was 2021.
Okay.
Kind of like, yeah, it was like, it was still COVID, but like it was loosening up a bit. So I was able to get a really good deal on my lease, which was really the only way it was possible.
Right.
And I was able to negotiate directly with a landlord, which is really rare. I was able to sign a 2-month lease with a landlord where you only can sign 5 or 10-year leases in actuality.
Wow.
So it was a really...
You mean for commercial?
Yeah, for commercial.
Wow. Is that like a New York thing or?
I think so. I think it is. So it was really a classic. I love the saying, you know, when luck meets preparation. Ooh. It was really that. I was very lucky, but I think I was also prepared for it.
Right. And in right place, right time situation too, right? Yeah. Wow. Okay. So then you have your dry florals, you have this space. What made you want to do a actual store versus e-commerce?
So I was doing it online for about, I guess it was like a little over a year, and it was just really just a hobby. Like I was not making enough money to sustain a life anywhere, especially not in New York City. So with school finishing, it was really just, you know, I didn't have the luxury of just keeping it going at it as the pace it was. It was like, you know, maybe I was making like a couple $100 a month. So there was really no other option for me, because it was kind of like, I'll just try the store. It's the only way I can make a livable income. I just kind of hope it goes well.
Okay, so explain this to me.
Yeah.
Most people say having a, you know, you have to pay a mortgage or a lease. Yeah. You know, you have to pay a lease on top of you selling and all these different things and sourcing and getting the materials. So if you're making only a couple hundred with online, why did you think the revenue from the store was going to be so much higher?
Because I had friends who opened a boutique in Hoboken, actually. It's called Brook and Bell, if you live there. And it's great. It was they found a niche that didn't exist in Hoboken. Okay. And I felt this kind of home decor vintage niche didn't exist in Manhattan. And I just kind of knew that the foot traffic that came with the physical storefront would overshadow any sort of audience I'd already had.
Online.
And that's... Yes, in a line. Exactly. So it's like just the foot traffic alone, I was able to open and just immediately build a community and get customers. Oh my gosh. It's like, it's so expensive to have a store, but you just kind of look at it as a marketing expense, because it's like, that's almost like that's the best free marketing you can get.
Right. And so for you, I mean, it sounds like location.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you're located, tell everyone where your store is.
We're in Nolita. We're on Elizabeth and Houston. Great location. Our first store I opened was on Mott Street, so just one block over. Still a great location, but Elizabeth really is like peak Nolita boutiques.
And so for our listeners, that was that boutique, but where she is thriving now with Abode is embroidery.
Yes.
And so how do we get from the florals to embroidery?
Yeah. So that is just funny because, you know, it's such a winding path of like from florals to embroidery with like all these different things and ideas in between. And I basically have a real knack for identifying trends. And I think it's just something that I didn't really realize it until now. Honestly, the last, I would say, few months, it's just like when I realize I start to like something, it usually means it's coming as a trend in, you know, 6 months, a year, or something around that. So, for an example, when I first opened the first version of Abode in May 2021, we had vintage matchbooks and matchbook everything. And now in 2024, it's a thing. It's the biggest thing ever. So like that's just like one little example. But
so you're a trend oracle.
Yes, exactly.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. I'm glad I know you.
Yeah,
I'm going to be like, what's the trend, boo? Give me the tea.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just liked embroidery. I thought it was cool. And, you know, I saw actually Serena, our friend, mutual friend.
Who was on the podcast.
Yeah,
Serena
who was on
Kerrigan.
the podcast. She was wearing an embroidered sweatsuit from a brand. And I thought it was really cute. And I was like, that was kind of the first time I'd seen embroidery in 2020. I think this is 2021, 2022. And I was just like, that's cool. And that would be a great addition to my business. Like I'm selling homewares, you know, we could do embroidered blankets or napkins or whatever. So it was like, okay, it was my first holiday season in my new space, Elizabeth Street space. And we did super, super well. And I was like, why don't I just buy an embroidery machine? Why not?
And you did not know how to embroider?
No, I've never embroidered a single time. No, not once. I knew nothing about it. I just was like,
these machines are expensive.
Yeah, they're like over $10,000.
So she's like, oh, why not?
Wow. Literally. And you could finance them. So, it's a little less scary.
Well, but just the idea that you were like, oh, there's this idea, there's this, there's, you know what I mean? You like, the mindset of getting the idea to actually getting the thing that's going to make the idea happen. For some people, it needs to be quick.
Yeah.
Or you talk yourself out of it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So
exactly.
how quick was the idea to the buying the machine?
I think it was like a month.
Okay.
It was really fast. Okay. And it sat in the basement of Abode for months, and I didn't use it. And I told my family, oh, should I buy an embroidery machine? And they're like, I don't know. Like, do you think it's a good idea? I was like, I think I'm just going to do it. And then I did it. And then they were like, how's embroidery? And I was like, it's good. Like, it's great. I'm doing it. Meanwhile, it literally sat in our basement untouched for months.
Yeah.
But it just sat there. And I think this is a classic like entrepreneur, creative, kind of ADD mind, like founder brain, is I was just like, I'm going to do embroidery. I'm going to work in the store. I'm going to work on the business. I'm going to do social. Like, I wanted to do everything, and that was just not possible. So that's why it sat. So I wasn't prepared. And I mean, looking back, I'm so happy I got it. But
when you got it.
Yeah. I mean,
even though you didn't use it right away.
Yeah. It ended up obviously working out. But so I had it. It sat. Then I finally hired someone to come in, and she got the first person trained, who got the next person trained, so on and so forth. But it was still in our basement. It still wasn't really connecting with anyone. I, had a sign that said like, ask us about our embroidery. And like, we would make little one-off pieces for the store, but it wasn't really what it is now. And so then that happened from about the first person who got trained was in June. So until March of 2023, so June 2022.
Okay.
A lot of 2020 numbers, so it gets confusing. But June 2022 until March of 2023, it was this kind of limbo period of trying to make it into something, but it really wasn't anything yet. And then you have to get these machines serviced. And so the machine needed to get serviced. And I sent it out, and it's like 90 pounds. It's like very big and difficult. So I was like, okay, we'll finally take it out of the basement, and let's do a little pop-up in the store. We'll put it upstairs. We'll be like, free embroidery, whatever, like with your purchase, and just like make a little moment out of it. And little did I know that was just going to be the start of an entire new chapter for us. And I posted a TikTok, and it just went crazy. And we now have really changed and molded the entire business to accommodate the embroidery. And we've dropped the florals, we dropped the vintage, and it's really 100% new.
Oh my gosh. There's okay. Okay. So there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
So a few things. Stopping one thing like the florals and the vases, and then going into this, like why not have all three? What made you say no to this, yes to this? Was it like time? Was it bandwidth? Was it the people? What was it?
It's a really, really hard decision to make when you change like that. And, especially when you build a business on one thing, to just throw it away and move on is even emotionally really difficult. And I think that for me, I have a really great team behind me now, helping with a few things. I mean, very small, but we're mighty. And it took a lot of outside perspective from them, and to kind of be like, we got to just focus on what's working and kind of like say F you to everything else.
Wow.
And also, I didn't really get into this too much in that long-winded explanation before, but before the embroidery, it was tough. Like, things were not good. Like, our sales were down almost 50% than they were when we opened.
For the florals.
Yeah, for just like what the store was before, for the dry floral, for the vintage. And it wasn't the economy post-COVID like it was. And it was just so different. And, I needed that change to stay open and to have a successful business. And so I think it was kind of like an aha moment of like, this is obviously working. And the other one, you were in this bad place before. What was the common denominator there? You were focusing on a different thing. So it definitely took months of kind of slowly phasing it out, but it was just kind of like, that's what's working and everything else isn't.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So you needed to pivot.
Yeah.
That was a prime example of pivoting. And so you kept the same name. What was that like with like from a branding perspective? Was that the reason why you did that?
Yeah, we had a pretty good community and audience. And when I chose Abode, it was, I always, even when so the first version actually, before I opened the store, when I was at home, it was called Abigail Home. And I was selling dry floral arrangements, but it's like, where does Abigail Home and dry floral fit in? And I just always I always knew it was going to be bigger than that. And I didn't want to pick a name that was too anything.
Right. Home or specific.
Yeah. So I was like home rather than flowers, because who knows what this is really going to be.
Right.
And then when it was a store, I was like, okay, abode, what's a synonym for home? And I loved the word abode with one B and then Abby. So I added the extra because I wanted it to be unique. And I still feel like.
And made it your own.
Yeah. And I still feel like abode kind of can be anything. It's like my abode, my home, my taste, my items, my things. And I think it's just, taken a long, it's been officially a year since we started this. We did that first pop-up and kind of started transitioning. And I just think it takes time. Like we still have people who will come in and be like, where's all the vases and this, like from the last time I was here, and they'll be like, wasn't that only a few months ago? And they're like, oh wait, that was a year ago.
All of our time is it's all messed up with COVID, right? Yeah. Okay. So you said a gem earlier about your team. And I think that that's really important when you are going out and starting a business or starting something fresh or new. It's like you're only kind of as good as the team behind you or the people that are working with you. So it was just beautiful insight from them to be like, hey, like this is what we got going good. This is what's not going good.
Yeah.
Gem.
Definitely. And always, you need to find people that have the opposite of you, like the opposite skill set, the opposite strengths, because it's like yin and yang in a business is a real thing.
Yeah.
And like, I'm so lucky that I have someone now who is my complete, even down to our friendship and like our personalities as people, we're so different,
but you work so well together.
Yes, because we're so complementary, because we're like opposites.
Can you take me through like, okay, so you were in college, you start this thing, and now it's like you like you said, you have a small team, but how did you go about management? Like now you're a manager and an owner. Like, it's so hard, I think, sometimes because management is a skill as well. Some people are just really good managers and some people are not. Sorry, they're not. Right. Yeah. So what was that transition like for you too? Like now I have people that kind of look up to me or that I'm in charge of or whatever. How does that go? Did you read books?
No, I should, honestly. I think I can grow and learn so much as a manager. I think managing is not one of my strongest skills. I think I'm very much like, I look to what I'm like and I expect everyone to be the same. Like I work very hard. I am, I go above and beyond. I can read through the lines and infer and take initiative. And a lot of people can't. So I think, in my past hires and people that I've worked with, I expect too much, but I don't give them the proper, tools to succeed. Right. Because I'm like, oh, if it were me, of course I would just do XYZ. But it's like they don't know to do that.
Right.
So I think like that's something I can always grow and learn. And I think, everyone I have right now is amazing and they're so patient and understanding and like they know we're all learning as we go too. And I think they give me grace with that. And I think that also when I first started Abode, I was only 24 and I was hiring 24-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 22-year-olds. And it's like, we're a peer. It feels like we're peers. And so that was really tough. And now I'm going to be 28 soon. And I'm feeling a little bit more of a gap between my employees and myself. And that I think helps and just time. But I think I was like wanted to be best friends with everyone. And I do feel like I am best friends with my team now, but it's like in a different kind of way.
Right.
And I have a little bit more of like not a guard, but like I would just like gossip and, spill my whole life to my employees.
And they like, oh. Great.
But I think the biggest thing I learned with people and managing and just business relationships is anyone who you meet and they're your best friend or, it's like, oh, we met and you're going to be my partner. You're going to do this for me. You're going to, in the span of weeks or just a few months, I think you're like going to change my life or you have all these huge promises and goals you're telling me you're going to achieve, those are always the people that have screwed me over and and I don't even speak to anymore.
Yep, let you down.
Yeah, and let me down in a personal sense, in a business sense. And now the relationships that are my most important and my strongest, it's like it's like a couple weeks, a couple months. It's not like 1 to 2 days of like, oh my God, you know, it's like they've proven themselves for like a year now, you know?
Yes. And I think that comes with understanding, right?
Yeah.
But having false expectations, and I think, you know, I've met a lot of people that way too. It's like they're gonna, you know, they tell you the whole world and all that, but that's how they feel also about themselves.
Yeah.
And you're like, but when you pull back the rug, you're like, it ain't what it says.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really interesting point. But also with the management thing, and like you were saying about peers, and I think it's also how you were saying you are seeing a difference between you guys now. It's also probably you're settling in, and you are also, like you said, making space, putting space between things, because regardless if someone is your age or not, or you hire someone that's even older than you, that and you can still look at them, I think, as a peer, but the difference is the separation of like this. We are both here to make this product, this business, this company its best, and you know, you're not working for me. We're working for this company.
Yeah.
We're working for this product. We're working for the people, whatever you want to. And I feel like that culture, when I, you know, hear businesses and things like that, it's amazing. It really is, because but the ego of the owner and or the person who owns something, and like you said, the detachment of we're not besties.
Yeah,
we are employees. We work for each other and with each other, or whatever you want to call it. Is just, that's so important. But sometimes you do have to go through doing it to not do it.
100%. I needed to learn the hard way, I think, about that, you know, to really understand, you know, and just mature and grow as a leader and an entrepreneur.
And you also mentioned working with your opposite and working with people who are your opposite. A lot of duo creative people, and I don't know if that crosses with other industries, but creative specifically, I've definitely seen a trend in like two completely opposite people, even in their lifestyle. Like you said, I know people who, this person's married with 5 kids, and then this person's like out every night going crazy, you know, just like how they even deal with their life is completely different in their priorities, but they come together for this job. So I also think that that's a gem to say, like, if you are working on a business, or you're looking to start a business and you look for someone to do something with, it's nice to have difference.
Yes.
And amplify that.
Definitely.
And love that.
Yes.
Opposed to be like, they're different than me, I don't want to work with them.
Totally. And like hire for your weaknesses always.
But knowing those weaknesses.
Yes.
How do we know those, Abby? How do we get to know those?
Yeah, those, I think in business, it's what do you like to do and what do you push off and avoid and procrastinate. For me, that's taxes, operations, systems, finances, accounting, all those fun activities. I would rather like blow out my, you know, gouge out my eyes than do them.
It seems like your boyfriend would be good at those things.
Oh my God, he is. Natasha knows my boyfriend very well too, and yes, he is. And yes, he 100% is. And my you know, amazing partner now that I work with is one of his best friends.
Oh, see, there we go. We go. Yes. That is amazing.
Yes, that's exactly. I know. So you kind of hit the nail on the head there.
Yes. I mean, I don't obviously, you know, I obviously know you more, but meeting him, he just seems like he just gets it.
Yes.
Like with the technical shit.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Which we love. Yeah. We love John. We love ya. We love that.
We do.
I'm gonna be like, look, I need some help.
Oh yeah, anytime. Anytime. time. He's someone who'll drop whatever for whoever.
No, he's so great. We do. We love him. So yeah, so that's, and it's interesting because I do know people who also in partnerships and with their person that they're dating, they look for, they have the same and they love to do everything together. And then there's the people who, but again, I think it's something about creatives or being a creative where you really want to stimulate that difference.
Totally.
That's my hot take.
And also when you're a creative, like you don't want anyone else's creativity. Like I don't know if stifling you is the right word, but it's like, I know what I want. I have this creative eye or perspective. And it's not that anyone else's perspective is wrong per se. No. It's just like, if I have my perspective, why do I want to, take someone else's on necessarily? So it's like you want this opposite person to be able to respect that and let you run with it.
Right. No, that's 100% true. Because like you said, you look at art, it's like you like it, I don't like it, but someone else likes it. It's all subjective.
Yeah.
Subjective. It's all subjective. And when you are creating, you do need to be able to have that open space to do that. Yeah, I agree. All right. So would you call yourself a thrifter?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's how I got started, is like, I love a hunt. I love a dirty digging through glassware and, looking for clothes, looking for physical gems, looking for those. Yep.
Yes.
Exactly.
Where in New York would someone go to thrift clothes? What would you say is like your number 1 or 2 places to go in New York, Brooklyn, wherever?
Yeah. I love Stella Dallas in Brooklyn. I think it's amazing there. I think that, there's great like Crossroads and Buffalo Exchange. I was there over the weekend and I got
this past weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I was at Crossroads in the East Village and I got 2 pieces. But honestly, you got to get out of the city. Like, I feel like I don't even have such a great roster of in-city places because I've gotten so used to doing it outside the city that I see the prices here and I'm just like, literally, what's the point? Like, it's just as expensive as like Zara or something, So getting out of the city, I love an antique mall. Like, that's like my home for me. It's like walking into an antique mall.
Where?
Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I've been to a ton there. New Jersey. Honestly, literally anywhere. That's the thing, is like just open up Google Maps and type in antique mall anywhere you are and there's bound to be one within like a 40-minute drive.
Obsessed.
And then block off a couple hours of time.
Yeah.
But like just look. And also I'm like such a manifester. Like, manifest what you want to find at the thrift store and you will find it 100%. I've gotten so many amazing dupe pieces for actual designer or whatever specific items I've been wanting. I'm like, I know I'm going to find this and I walk in and I find it.
So when you go into these places, you're like, I want to find this. And you look for that thing. You don't just like kind of peruse and browse and...
I mean, I think I do peruse and browse. And I also think I'm lucky that I have an eye of like, I can find the diamond in the rough there. Like, I can look at an antique stall booth and it's like filled with crap. And I know, but if you take that out and put it on like a cool shelf, it's going to look amazing. So I think it's just taking your time and looking, but kind of have a guiding perspective through what you want to find.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Internationally, is there anywhere that you love to shop?
I mean, Paris, obviously. I was just in Paris.
Yeah,
and
great.
I think like I love shopping, like, period. Like, I love shopping and I love
our
like,
retail therapy.
Yeah, like going into stores is like a hobby for me, especially with my own store. Not even to buy, but just like checking out like I literally went to Paris in February just to get inspiration for our embroidery and for our new store and our business, and it was amazing. And walking down the streets of Paris, I passed like 5 or 6 stores that had embroidery machines in them, and I was like, yeah, I'm on the right path for sure.
Yeah, and she had we'll post this picture or show this picture in the YouTube. She has these amazing croissant pants. Those pants.
Yeah.
She embroidered croissants on her pants.
Yeah.
In Paris.
Yes, they're so fun.
Iconic.
And it's so fun. It's just making things personal. Like, that's what's so special with our embroideries. Like you can bring anything in. We have stuff to purchase.
Yep.
You can make it your own. And, you know, you can bring a pair of jeans and get whatever you want on them. Then no one else is going to look like that. And I think that's what's really special too.
And that's the uniqueness and why you wanted to go into embroidery.
Yeah.
Because you can make it your own.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like you can make it so unique and special. Like for Valentine's Day, we went super viral because we were having people kiss, like literally put on lipstick, kiss a piece of paper. We were taking their exact kiss mark, their lips, and embroidering it on boxers and like a little handwritten note. And then another product, you know, it's right now. It's May.
Where on the box?
Where you think? They're really fun. I was like posting them. I know I was posting them and I was like, do I send this to my family?
Yep.
But just getting personal. Like it's about to be May, about to be Mother's Day, and we're doing like handwritten recipes from a loved one who's maybe passed. You can send us their recipe and we're embroidering exactly out their handwriting and an old recipe onto a tea towel. So we can get so custom and specific with it.
Wow, that is so beautiful. And that's also why I love your business, because gifts are a love language.
100%.
Gifts are a love language.
Yes.
And people love them. And there's a lot of people who don't need things, but a thoughtful gift goes the longest way.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Totally. And our pricing, most things are under $100 in our store. And I try to keep it we make literally everything in our store in Manhattan, which is psychotic in terms of a pricing perspective. You know, if you ask any established business owner, they would cringe. But even with that, you know, we're still trying to keep our prices as affordable as possible because I want it to be accessible to everyone.
Yes, we can call it the 99 store, but like $99,
yeah,
99 cents.
Exactly.
Which is great because that's like a threshold, I think, for a lot of people. Like, oh, I want to get $100 gift or something like that. Like that's a threshold. So do people purchase something and then the embroidery is the price on top of it?
So if you buy something in our store, embroidery is included in the price.
Ooh.
So I wanted to make it feel really easy and seamless too.
Ooh.
And I wanted to feel like an experience. And that's kind of what separates us from, honestly, anyone in the country doing this. I don't know anyone who does embroidery the way we do in terms of making it a real aesthetically pleasing, fun, Instagrammable experience. We offer like perspective and ideas and have icons and fun things to choose from. So it's almost like Build-A-Bear.
Yes.
For adults.
Yes, Build-A-Bear, but make it, you know, your own personal thing for yourself or someone else. Yeah. And that's also what's cool about your marketing, because it's like it doesn't have to be a gift. It could just be for you and say like, I want my name here.
Yeah.
Or, you know,
like you shove your name on everything.
See, there you go. There you go. All right. So I want to talk abode, meaning the actual word. What is home to you?
Home, I think, it's just being like happy and comfortable. And I think that can be anywhere. You know, I think it can be a space as in your home. It can be a place as in like a city, or, you know, a location you feel comfortable in, or just being with people who make you feel like home anywhere. You know, like I think of New York as home, but I also think of traveling, and maybe just because I'm with my boyfriend, it feels like home, you know?
Right. I
think it can come from a few different ways. Just whenever I'm feeling happy and beautiful and comfortable, and those, then I feel like home.
So if something compromises that, do you then feel like you need to pivot in that? Like, you know, when we talk about getting stuck on this podcast, it's like there is a certain comfort level that feels like home, as you're saying. But then there's a certain comfort level that feels stagnant. And we're like, oh, that's when we feel like we have to pivot. So for yourself, either, I want to say in your personal life, but also in your business, where have you felt like, oh, we need to pivot because this is no longer feeling like the good home versus the stagnant home? Yeah.
I mean, I think that I love growth. I've always been someone who's not been afraid of change. Like I've always been excited for change and seeking out change. And so I think when I'm not progressing, like I think home is, and also growth, like they really go hand in hand, because it's like you're always whether you're growing in some way, you know, whether it's older.
Yep.
Or in your career, you
Yep.
know. So I think that when I'm not feeling that growth and things are feeling the same, I'm kind of like itching for something new.
Yes. Okay. And then in your business, was there a pivotal moment that you felt like this is not going to work?
Yes. It's clear as day. And it's so crazy because it was International Women's Day, funnily enough.
Oh, God.
Of March 2023, and I wrote a note to myself. I'm not like a journaler, really. Like I never even wrote my homework down in like a notebook. Like that's how like what I'm like. And I wrote a note to myself, and I was like, I'm gonna let myself, because I had kind of like a personal / business relationship that kind of went the wrong way, and another business relationship that kind of had a falling out in, and the business wasn't doing well. Like I was like sitting in my store because I was like, I didn't have to like lay people off, but I had to like cut schedules down. And I was sitting there and I saw this thing and it made me so upset. Mm-hmm. And I wrote myself a note and I was like, I'm going to let myself feel like this and just, you know, be in it. And then I'm going to just move on. And I'm going to figure it out. I literally wrote, I'm going to figure it out. I know I am. Because I know that I'm meant to be successful. And like my whole life, I knew that was where I was going to be. Like I knew I was going to be in a special career in a special city. Like I always saw that for myself. So I knew I was going to figure it out. And I'm super into manifesting and going to psychics and things like that. And I knew that it was going to change and I was going to grow and I was going to be so successful someday. And all of this stuff for the embroidery pop-up and all that happened 2 weeks later.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in that moment of stuck, what some people do is they sulk. Mm-hmm. They get sad. Mm-hmm. They focus on the bad, the sad, and the ugly, whatever, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly. They focus on the bad, the sad, and the ugly, right?
Yeah.
And in that moment, you took it and reversed it. You focused on what you know to be true. You looked to the future. You manifested this positivity and success into your life. Yeah. And you wrote it down.
Yep.
And do you still have that note?
Yeah, I do.
You got to keep it.
Yeah. It took me, I didn't want to read it for a really long time. And then I finally reread it again, like 11 months after I wrote it. And I didn't even realize the timing. And I was just like, this is so absolutely insane. And I mean, even the store itself I manifested it. Like I got the idea for the store and I just started telling everyone I knew I was opening a store. And they were like, oh, where? What? I was like, I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out.
Get delulu about your situation.
And even people, my friends, people who work with me, they'll be like, you manifest the most insane things ever. Like this is a really quick example, but I had a meeting with our mutual friend and I said, this bride who's getting married to a celebrity, I was like, I want to work with them at their wedding. And I was like, let's make it happen. I tried a few ways, tried to make it happen. It didn't look like it was going to happen. So that morning at this meeting, I said, let's make this happen. She walked into the store that afternoon. I'm not kidding. She lives in LA.
Your store.
Yes. And I happened to be working that day. She walked in and I realized who it was. And now we're working together. Like that sort of thing. That's like 1 in a million for me. It's crazy.
So I did a whole episode on manifesting. And I said in that episode, you're manifesting regardless if you think you are or not, all the time. You're manifesting all the time.
Totally.
Good or bad.
Totally.
And what I'm hearing from your story and why I wanted to have you on this podcast is your level of positivity. Even when I first met you, just you have a lightness about you, and you just have this like level of positivity that it's inviting. Number one, that's probably why the person who walked into your store was like, oh, hey, what's up, girl? You know what I mean? It's very inviting. And I also think that, you know, for anyone listening to this, it's so easy to stay in the negative. I know it is. I know it is.
Totally.
But
it is.
Even if you have to write it down like we're in detention, I will succeed. I will be great. Yep. I am successful. I am blah, blah, blah. You know, even if you have to write, and the thing that people mistake about writing things down it's there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a fleeting passing thought.
Yeah.
It is now on paper that you can or cannot look at some point.
Yeah.
So writing it down, and I can't express that enough, how important it is.
Totally.
Because it now lives on a paper.
Yeah, it's real.
It's real.
Yeah.
It's so real.
Yeah.
So let's get real with ourselves in what we want to do, you know?
And just you can make it happen. People, you know, I meet so many amazing people and women, and they're like, oh, I'd love to have a business like you, or I'd love to do this. It's like, you can just do it. Literally just do it. Like everything, it's like Nike. Like, you know, it's
just
like
do it.
Literally just do it.
Yep.
There's nothing, maybe I can like identify a trend sooner than someone else, but it's like we're all equal in what we can do. We can all make whatever we want to make happen.
But you identifying a trend and then going into embroidery for that trend and also creating trends through embroidery, that was unique to you.
Yeah.
And I think that finding what's unique between us and honing in on that, because I do believe we all have a unique spirit or we all have a unique thing that we can do.
Yeah.
It's finding it.
Yes.
And sourcing inspiration.
Yes.
And feeling drawn to something. I don't want to say attached to something, but you felt drawn to New York. You felt drawn to a certain thing. You also have had family members who have been successful in businesses and things like that too, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, and for people who are listening to this who haven't had, you know, family members who haven't did this or did that, that doesn't mean that you can't draw inspiration from other people that you've seen in the world. And that hence why we're doing this podcast. You know, there's people who listen to this maybe never heard of you, but you're doing your thing though. Yeah. And that's what's important. And you believed in yourself. And that belief in self and your product, as I said in the beginning of the episode, is so important and to persevere and pivot and all that. And oh my God, I'm like, I'm on a fire right now. I'm like, oh, it's so inspiring.
Thank you.
It really is inspiring. So if there's that dream you guys have out there, you know, that embroidery is whatever that embroidery machine is in that basement, honey.
Whatever speaks to you and makes you excited, and whatever, you know, is unique, the unique perspective you have, just go full steam ahead and don't let anyone hold you back.
Yeah. And the money will come.
It will come. It will come down the road. I always I live my life now. Even I'm like, what's the $100 I could have saved last month? Who cares? When I'm so wealthy and successful from the business I worked hard to create, it's not going to matter. And I think that mentality is definitely a little toxic sometimes.
Right. But I'm sure John be like, girl, what? We need 100.
Yeah. But it's like, it will come. Like if you're on the right path, it's all going to work out.
Yes.
And the universe will make it clear that you are.
And I think a gem here too, from what I see, is if you don't light up when you talk about your thing, whatever that is, and you do light up, she will talk about embroidery like she won $1 million.
Literally,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I feel like I won the lottery with what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. And you light up about it. And that is so beautiful.
Thank
you.
So
if you want to do something and you're like, oh, this is going to be a good moneymaker, maybe do something else, you know, or do something that really lights you up or makes you're like, oh my God, I can talk. Someone said to me after I started my podcast, oh, you know, I'd really love to start a podcast. I said, if there's something that you can talk about endlessly with anyone, do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
You know, like that, the period. Right. So I'm so happy about this. So I'm going to play a little game with you. Well, it's kind of like I don't want to say a game. It's just,
I love a game.
We love a game and we love gifts because, again, it is a love language.
Yes.
You have done this business for a while, and so you have a specific insight on this. So if someone's listening to this and they have some event coming up, one of these events coming up, what do you think they should get embroidered? Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Bachelorette party.
Oh, I mean, everything custom for, like, you need bucket hats, you need towels if you're at a beach, or you need, you know, ski headbands if you're going skiing. You need tote bags with everyone's names. Like, you need sick custom merch because you're only going to be on your bachelorette once.
Okay, amazing. Oh, and for bachelor, is there anything specific for the boys?
Bachelor, we have, this isn't embroidered, but we do custom engraved lighters, and I think they're sick for men because it's like a gold lighter case, so you can get like their name or initials, something like that would be cool. or like suit, like garment bags would be really cool. And a gift you would reuse. Socks are fun for guys, things like that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Love that. What about a wedding? Need a wedding gift?
Oh my God. Well, I feel like that is where we really thrive too. I would say if you're, giving a gift to someone newly engaged, or to their wedding, I love like a custom set of cocktail napkins where you put their initials in one corner. And then we typically recommend gifting in like 4, 6, or 8, and then picking a unique icon for each of that number. So if it's 4, maybe one's New York, one's their pet, one's their wedding city, one's their favorite cocktail, and then putting their initials with it, like a set like that.
Wait, so you put a picture of?
Yeah, so you can do an icon in addition to the text. So picture like top left of a cocktail napkin, like their initials together, and then the bottom right is like something having to do with them, and really making like a custom set, I think is so special and unique.
And you could even put their name, like their pet's name or something.
Yeah, and we do the most adorable custom pet portraits. Oh my God, we need to make Nyla merch.
We need to make some Nyla merch.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'd wear it every day.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Okay, great. Okay, wedding, we're set. We're done. We're doing it. New baby or baby shower?
Oh, I mean, babies are the cutest. We just did like a set of onesies, and this baby was actually she's named Olive. So we have like a cocktail kind of olive pick design where it's just like a olive stick. There's no alcohol in it. And we did a set of onesies for her that's a 1 olive, 2 olive, 3 olive, 4 olives like on a stick that were adorable. But always custom baby clothes are the cutest. And then also for mom, like a really nice like diaper bag with the new name or her name or something like that, I think is really special.
Yep. That's good. What about a gender reveal? Is there something to do with that? Even because we don't know if the girl's a boy, Yeah,
I think like something neutral, something gender neutral. Something maybe like light yellow, light green with like a cute little baby. Like, maybe it's like a New York, a city, or a
bottle.
Yeah, a bottle. Or it's like a pet portrait on the onesie.
Oh.
So like if the parents have a pet that they're, because you know how people are about their pets, obviously. Putting like their custom dog on a onesie for their baby, that's like, it's a gray onesie, can go either way.
Yep.
So cute.
That's really cute.
Yeah.
That's really cute. Okay. A birthday, his and hers, which what are we doing?
I think for his birthday, I would say something with the custom boxers. I think the custom lips for a guy is so fun. And I love
hot.
Yes. And I love even like a tone on tone. Like maybe it's like a white button down with white embroidery in the sleeve. So it's like only you both know it's there. No one else knows it there. Because guys sometimes, they don't want to be too over the top. And also like a kiss under the collar is so cute and subtle. Because it's like only when they flip up the collar is it there.
See it. Yeah.
And then for her birthday, guys, listen up. I think anything with custom handwriting, like if you can handwrite a note to your partner, your female partner, it's just the most special thing in the world. So like special. Maybe it's, also on a piece of clothing, it's like on the inside of a sleeve, or it's on like lingerie or something like that.
Oh, sexy.
Yeah. Like that's really special. And those little touches, like there'll be like, oh my God, like how did you come up with this?
Women love that stuff. We eat it up. We love it.
And we're the ones who give it, but we need to receive it.
We need to receive it. Yeah. Yeah. Guys, get romantic out there.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite home item to embroider? Or the most popular?
Most popular would for sure be the cocktail napkins. We've sold like unbelievable amounts of cocktail napkins, which is amazing because they're quick and they're not too expensive.
And you wash them and they're clean again.
You can reuse them, environmentally friendly.
Yep.
My favorite though, I would say is probably like dinner napkins, like a set of dinner napkins, because it's like feels very adult, you know, like putting out reusable dinner napkins at a party is like, you got your shit together.
Yes. I'm not there yet. Yeah. We got to get me there.
Yeah.
We got to get me there. Okay. And you mentioned this earlier, but last but not least, Love Day, Valentine's Day.
Well, of course, like the boxers, like I mentioned before, were such a hit. And I can't wait to like, make more versions of that in the future. But I think
for women.
Yeah, for women and for men too. I think Valentine's Day for a woman, I would definitely lean into the lingerie. I think getting something really cute and custom there, maybe like a lingerie set that you're adding like her initials to or her name to, or if it's like close
or
to your
his name too.
Yeah, if it's close. Or we'll do a lot for like weddings where it's like Mrs., you know, or like their new name, things like that. But I think
hot.
Yeah. But I think anything like that for Valentine's Day for sure. And then for guys, I think pajamas, you know, underwear. I think like things like that are subtle. A tie, like a custom tie. So when they go to work, they're thinking of you the whole day and no one else. I think that anything just like with the lips, with the handwriting, those I think, you know, those are always timeless and people are going to love.
I just had an idea for you, like for next Valentine's Day or something, like it's making a campaign. It's like you have like the hers panties with his name on it.
Cute.
And then his
like a set.
Well, yeah, having a set, but then it's like you like the commercial or the campaign is like you use this. Like you put the like when I got these panties on, baby, you know what's up.
Yep.
When you come home, you know what's up.
Yeah.
Same thing for him. He's like, babe, I got them on. Like we kind of gotta go there tonight. You know what I mean? Oh my god, because it's just like, okay, I know what you want. Fine, you know, fine. We don't even gotta talk about it. Fine.
Nope.
You come home. He's like, oh, wait, you got your. Oh, okay, baby.
Yeah.
All right, come here.
It's
come
time.
here.
Yeah. I love that.
Oh my god, I'm obsessed with that.
Yeah. Perfect. It's never too early to start planning.
Exactly. Okay, I love that. Thank you so much for coming.
Of course.
Thank you
for having me.
and dropping those gems. I hope that this inspires someone out there to do the damn thing. Get the metaphor. Get the machine out of the basement.
Yes,
that's going to be the metaphor of the podcast.
100%.
Get the machine out of the basement and just try. Just see what happens, and don't be afraid to pivot. If we're done, you know,
totally, it's okay.
It's totally okay, and keep it going. Oh my gosh, thank you, Abby.
Thank you.
And thank you for all my Gemmers listening to this. We want to get you through life a little lighter, a little happier. And I will see you guys next week. Thanks for listening to Hidden Gems with me, your host, Natasha Parker. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. It really helps grow our budding community. Follow me on IG at Natasha Parker and the show at Gems with Natasha. Hidden Gems with Natasha Parker is produced by Gotham Production Studios.